There are so many questions surrounding what caused last night's computer outage, as the effects are still being felt this evening. Today, 12 News reporter Brock Wilson spoke with a local IT expert about what caused the problem. He's live with a look at how the outage is being fixed and who's still feeling the impact. Brock?
Well, first off, Rachel, at a time where we're seeing an increase in the number of cyber attacks around the world, this was not one of those. What this essentially boils down to is a glitch in a software update. But unfortunately, that glitch is impacting millions of people worldwide.
Arguably, at this point, it is one of the largest IT outages that has ever occurred.
From thousands of delayed and canceled flights to banking and hospital computer issues, Friday's computer outage is impacting millions.
I think we're almost up to 31,000 impacted flights worldwide. There was a fair amount of banking impacts. Texas A&M, for instance, has canceled all of their classes.
To get an idea of the impact the outage had on air travel, take a look at this map here. It's a time lapse of air traffic across the U.S. You can see how busy it was just before the outage. Then it clears out. CEO of ARC Technologies Group, Jason McKinley, says it all started with a software update.
Assuming you were set for the latest CrowdStrike release, you'd have been pushed an update.
CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company used mostly by enterprises and government entities. CrowdStrike's update had issues with a recent Microsoft update.
That offending file will cause the systems to enter a state that's known as a blue screen of death, which basically means something has gone critically wrong with the computer and it becomes somewhat inoperable until you apply a manual fix.
But the good news, the average person isn't having any computer issues.
The only way you would have seen any impact at all from this is if you were a CrowdStrike customer.
And for most organizations that use CrowdStrike, it should be a relatively quick fix.
Most majorly critical stuff hopefully won't see more than 24 hours of impact from this. A lot of places are kind of starting to get back up to a decent state.
Jason says it's hard to quantify just how many people are being affected by this outage. Although the average person isn't being directly impacted, he says when thinking about just the number of flights that have been impacted by this outage, you look at the number of people on those flights, the number of people indirectly impacted by this outage is likely in the millions.
Yeah. Thank you, Brock. Speaking of that, so how did this affect people here in Wichita and Kansas? Services and companies across the city did feel an impact. Julia Daughtry shows us how people traveling and even at the tag office had their days disrupted.
Take a look at this sign that's outside of the Sedgwick County Tag office, letting people know that they are unable to process any transactions due to the global outage. The outage affected banks, airlines, and other essential services like county services. We talked to Kansans who say that their flight to Europe was canceled due to the outage.
We had this trip planned for 2 years, so the time has come and now our flight's canceled.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of effort and money and just time was spent making this trip, so we're hoping it gets rescheduled.
The Wichita airport says 2 flights were canceled due to the outage, and I got off the phone with the tag office and they told me that their system is back working. However, the Department of Revenue system is still down and they cannot do anything until that end is fixed. In Wichita, Julia Daughtry, 12 News.
Timeline exactly not known right now. The county says it's doing everything they can to reopen, but they are tied to the state as well, so that's delaying it. A new